Hello, everyone, and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we try to find value in the crypto markets and stock markets when there's fear and to be cautious when there's greed. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the altcoin of the day, and that is Chainlink. Before we look at Chainlink, it's important to know if you are new to crypto and my channel, for those of you who are new here, is for the low to medium long term investor. I'm not talking about trading, calls, puts, options, leverage, any of that. But mostly crypto and altcoins go the way Bitcoin does. Bitcoin has been going up for a year. Some altcoins have ran a lot harder than Bitcoin. But the point I'm making here is if Bitcoin is positive, altcoins tend to be positive. And by the time we get to the end of a major bull run, 4 year cycle, when we get into here, that's when the altcoins run the hardest at the very end. It's not to say that you can't make great earnings right now. I would argue that right now, just like the last 4 year cycle, it's been time to dollar cost average and accumulate. Still in here, once we clear the all time high, I am not investing in anymore. When I draw a fib for Bitcoin from the very low to the high, anything under the 0.5, I consider investable dollar cost average territory, with it being progressively more when we're under the 618, 786, so on and so forth. So, with all that being said, most recently we did get a sell signal, a weekly sell signal, which is pretty strong on Bitcoin. And this sell signal with this indicator, for the most part, tends to go down around 15% to the 618 fib. And that's also the average drop off it has to around 15%. So I do think that would be normal. And it's also going to, it looks like it's going to hit the 20 moving average. Does it have to go down there? No. It's possible we do get a little green reversal. I'll wait another week or two and see if it plays out over the course of 6 weeks. Anyways, on to Litecoin. It took 2 minutes to talk about Bitcoin. My God, when is this guy going to talk about Litecoin? Why did I say Litecoin? When is this guy going to talk about Chainlink? I'm here for Chainlink. Yes, Chainlink is a great altcoin. I love it. Again, if Bitcoin is dying and falling off a cliff, most of the altcoins will be too, mostly. So, Chainlink, as we go back, the all-time high somewhere around $52, $53. Right now it's around $14, $15. And this is as far back as this chart goes, 2018. We topped in 2017, and many of the altcoins that were out back here topped early 2018 before a massive sell-off. So Chainlink, it is an altcoin I like a lot. We had this great accumulation phase that lasted from May of 22 to September of 23. It's a long time. Great time to accumulate. There was probably some monthly buy signals in there. Let's take a look. Yep, monthly signals are even better than weekly. So, great time to buy in there for Chainlink. Where are we at on the weekly? So, as I was showing you with the Bitcoin chart, after we have a big move, whatever signal comes first tends to be the one that will play out. Again, we are first and foremost Bitcoin dependent. Right here, we did start out with a weekly sell signal, and so far we've just been range bound. We hit the top and we've only come down to this fib. I am curious if this type of doji here can get us down a little bit lower, maybe to the 0.5, somewhere around $11.50. We had a doji back here, and I thought it was interesting because we had it, but there was no macro sell signal. Now we did get a macro sell signal, and just looking at that candle, I thought, okay, maybe this is gonna at least get us down to here, but it's just been chopping around. Again, a lot of the coins that have very strong fundamentals, utility, they are hanging up here and waiting out these moves by Bitcoin. We can't avoid Bitcoin as much as we just want to talk about these altcoins. These these altcoins that are very strong right now are waiting out Bitcoin to see if it has a big macro dump off. If we only get down to 36K, I don't think Chainlink personally would get really much below this 1282 13 range. I could be wrong. We have the 20 right there. It's a fib level. Now, if Bitcoin got down to the next lowest fib, 27K, I think that would strongly impact even the strongest of altcoins. And then we could see some then from the 0.5 to the 618. Now, let's take off this indicator, go to another one, volume-based support and resistance. This is another great indicator. We have a lot of support down here with these resistance, the volume bands right here between 7.5 and around 9.5. So that's below the 618. If we got to the 618, I like Chainlink enough to say, yeah, I would buy. Would I buy it right now? Me personally, I am waiting. We almost got to the oversold region. But again, we're still hanging up here at yearly highs. Let's take off this indicator. We're still hanging up at yearly highs. So on the daily, that's up here. Again, I was showing you that previous indicator on the weekly. For investors, you want to be looking at weekly or longer time frames. If on the daily, things go back and forth all the time. At least on the daily, we haven't been oversold since August of last year, and then June. So we went up, down, made a higher low, went up again, and then boom, made some very strong moves here. So I do think if we were to break down below this range, 11 would be the next area. That would be key. Past that, I think that volume range I showed you, the 9.5 to 7.5, would probably be the next area. Anything in there, for me personally, I would be very excited about getting Chainlink at that point. If we go to the weekly and look at the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, we were recently overbought. And yeah, we're in this uptrend. Now, sometimes, all because we are very overbought does not mean the price can't go higher. We can be overbought again just by a little bit, and the price can shoot up. That can happen. Let's go back to when Bitcoin was peaked around June, July of 2019. That was the mid-cycle top. And it's similar to something Chainlink did in here. As you can see, Chainlink, it got up to 5.2 and it only came down to $1.40. So what's that drawdown? I'm curious. After I had that mid-cycle top with Bitcoin, it had about a 72% drawdown. Curious here if we can, let's draw a fib here too to see if we can make any comparisons. So I'm going to draw a fib from the very low to that high and just see if there's anything that we notice here, any comparisons. So the last 4-year cycle, we didn't hang up in this range as much. Yeah, we got back to it. However, we went under the 382 mostly and bounced around between the 382 and the 618 mostly. Yes, we had some moments under the 618. And it's funny, if you see this right here, these moments under the 618, remember that volume-based support and resistance zone I showed you? Where was that? I don't need to load it up again, but it was just under the 618. 618 is at 9.8. Remember that big volume band of resistance is between 9.5 and 7.5 in there. And so just getting under the 618 would be comparable to what it did during the last 4-year cycle. Do things have to play out the same as before? No. A lot of YouTube crypto channels fall into this trap that they look for patterns and they say, well, this is exactly what I'm looking for and expecting. And that can be one part of your plan. However, you shouldn't just be married to it. Correlation does not equal causation. Y'all have probably heard that expression before. So all because we had this happen back here does not mean it has to happen again, and nor has it. When we got up in this most recent bull run, we've been staying in these upper fibs. We haven't really been settling in under that 382 fib right here. So if we did get under the 382 and we were range bound between 13 and around 10, maybe it'll be a good time to buy. That's up to you to decide. If you are going purely off correlation from last time, then we'll see. Again, I think you can take a look at when Bitcoin is at, when it goes down to a lower fib. You can also take a look at the 200-week moving average. Well, actually, it has this line here, the 200-week moving average. Anytime it's underneath there or at there tends to be a good time to buy. And look how high we got above the 200-week moving average. So are we going to come back down to it around 31K? For some people, I've read on X, Twitter, that is their next predicted macro low, that we'll get somewhere around 31K. Maybe that's why they're looking at the 200 moving average. With Link, the 200 MA, look at that. Maybe this is why, I haven't actually seen this yet. Maybe this is why we've been staying up here, is we've been using the 200 as support. I just saw that right now with you guys. So ain't that something? We're learning here together. We're gonna, now this is the 200 SMA. That's a 200 day. So as you can see, that one's curling up. Maybe that will have some sort of pull to get it down. But that is interesting that the 200 week brought us there. I have a couple different 200 indicators. This one as well. Yeah, that one's right at the 618. So maybe it'll come down. If it gets below the 382 to the 0.5, yeah, I might consider looking at getting some Chainlink at that time. If you do believe in the 4-year cycle, look at this. We've had tops in, what was it, June of 2011, and then December 2013. This is after the halving. December 2013, December of 2017. Technically, price was a little higher here in November of 21. So if you believe in the 4-year cycle, then maybe you would believe that by this pattern, we might top somewhere around November of 25. And if you just look at maybe the orange box right there, could Bitcoin, or let's look at both orange boxes, could Bitcoin be between 150 to 190K if we are topped later next year? We'll see. Something to consider. We did have that early top last time. Sorry, let me go back to this. Something I think that caused this, or a reason why we didn't have a similar run up or something more in this style, was because after the COVID crash, we had record low rates and all that stimulus money. The Fed printed 6 trillion over the next year, and housing, as you know, got expensive. We have inflation, largely to thank to all that, and everything was going up in price. Stocks, crypto, everything. So that had a big impact on the markets. I'm wondering if we didn't have COVID, if it would have just been more gradual and retail got in heavy here. So I don't think we're going to get those conditions this time around. Even if we are to get a recession, I do believe that maybe from now until, I'm thinking November of this year would be a good time to dollar cost average into Bitcoin and the alts you like. And the reason I say that is because once we break the all-time high, look at the bottom of the screen, okay? Once we break the all-time high, Bitcoin has about a year, 9 months to a year before the next top. This chart doesn't show it. Let me go to a different Bitcoin chart. I think I have it on the, do I have it on this one or this one? Here we go. Once we break the all-time high, well, you can see the dates at the bottom. March of 17 to December, 9 months. Once we break the all-time high, looking back here, March to December, 9 months. So 9 months, 9 months, 1 year. That's just for Bitcoin. We haven't broken the all-time high yet. And so I do think dollar cost averaging in anywhere under the 0.5 is still a good time to dollar cost average if you get into Bitcoin, Ethereum, the right altcoins, because once we break that all-time high and start going up, it's game over. Most retail is investing in here because they hear it's at an all-time high, they get excited, it's contagious. That's not the time you want a dollar cost average in. Look at last cycle, 0.5. Even though we had that mid-cycle top, back here, look at all this good time. We had a year in here. 6 months from the bottom to the mid-cycle top, and then a year to accumulate. From the cycle bottom, if that is the bottom, which probably is, it didn't take 6 months, it took a year. So do we have around 6 months to accumulate? 6 to 9 months, who knows? So that's all I got for today on I keep saying Litecoin, on Link. It's funny how it matches. It's right in the 200 week. And if it's to break under the 382 and get bearish, I like Chainlink enough, me personally, that I'd look into it. Of course, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. For when I do invest with my contrarian view, when I look for fear in the markets and things to be oversold, at least with stocks, I like the product to be something I like, something I use. With crypto, I don't know about you. I'm willing to bet that 99% of you are not using any of this. It's very speculative, higher risk. Do your own research. I'm only going to talk about coins, altcoins, Bitcoin that are available on Robinhood and Coinbase because they seem to be the safer places to get into these. Yes, there are ETFs. Those are still tanking. I would be looking for some support and accumulation and for the ETFs to be out for a few months before getting in. But you never know. Maybe now's the time to get into ETFs. So anyways, that's all I got for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this altcoin of the day video. If there are any altcoins you would like for me to take a technical analysis look at, please let me know. Make sure it's a coin that's available on Coinbase or Robinhood. I like to do some videos with the top 5 to 10 altcoins available on both every couple weeks. So I think maybe for some of these altcoin of the day videos, we'll take a look at some of the lesser known ones, even some of the trashier altcoins. Things, look at this, like District TNT, things that haven't run in a while are just down here. Are some of these altcoins that have just had massive sell-offs. Could those possibly be big plays? They have in the past, so can they be in the future? Who knows? But sometimes people get lucky on those. It's more like gambling, so only put in what you're willing to lose or able to afford that you can lose. But sometimes those can run up 20 to 50x, much greater risk. By the time Bitcoin's topping or within a couple months of Bitcoin topping, you need to be out with your gains, though, because those things sell off quick once Bitcoin dumps, or they have in the past. Anyways, that's all I got for Link today. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful Sunday. Bye-bye.